Welcome to Lesson Translation, the podcast where desire gets decoded. I'm your host, sexologist Natasha Miller, and there's one thing before we begin. If you hit follow wherever you listen to our podcast, it will help us grow and bring you even better guests and conversations. It takes 2 seconds, it's free, and it means the world. Now let's get into it. Lindsay, Wynn, welcome to Lesson Translation.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, so for those who don't know, you're a really good friend of mine, and you're the founder of Momotaro Apotheca, a vulvovaginal wellness company that I use every day, and I'm really excited to dive into it. But we actually met the first time that I was putting together an event when I started my sexual wellness brand, Wanderlust. And I love how I just dove right into it and did this event for 200 people at Diane von Furstenberg's headquarters with Goop and Bumble.
Very cool.
And Momotaro very generously contributed to the 100 gift bags that we had.
Yeah, I think since the moment I met you, even though it was digitally, it was very obvious you were cool, super passionate, and really talented in terms of putting people, brands, and just good energy together. And it's amazing to see this come together into a podcast now.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So you are bi-coastal, which I find very chic. You just flew in from San Diego.
I know, a little bit different than the New York, LA, but San Diego is where I was born and raised.
Yeah. I mean, it gives a good balance to the grit of New York City.
Absolutely. I'm very connected to nature. You'll see that in the products I make. Being by the beach and in the mountains is really a big part of my life. So going back to San Diego and being with family as well is also still very important to me.
Yeah, but I want to know, when you're in New York City, what's your favorite sensual spot that gets you in the mood?
Ooh, in the mood. I mean, I think that depends. Am I in the mood with my girlfriends, going out and doing something sexy with them where I want attention and to be going out and having drinks, or am I with my partner? So those are probably two different places. I love the bathhouse, all different types of bathhouses.
I haven't been yet.
Bathhouse, yes, I go to the one in Williamsburg, but I will also go to the rugged Spa 88 in Fidei, which is a very old school Russian bathhouse where you are getting hit with the sticks and drinking vodka.
Oh,
but I like
that's hot.
I like the heat of it. I like kind of a little bit of a rough wellness ritual. I'm not really a matcha and Pilates girl, so this feels really good to me and it feels really hot. And then with girls, it can be a lot of different things, but I love to cook. Most of my girlfriends or any of my friends are really into kind of sensual rituals like that, like cooking and eating and dancing. And so that can be a lot of different things for me.
Oh, live music.
Yes.
It's just so good.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but I love that you already dove into water-based experiences, the bathhouse, because one of the reasons why I actually haven't been and why I just kind of tend to have the ick with a lot of water parks and all of that is because of the impact that it has on the vulva and just the flora down there in general. So I know that Momotaro's origin story is you being really kinky and having sex in the hot springs.
It's true. It's true. I highly do not recommend doing this. Big PSA, do not have sex in bodies of water. But yeah, I was really young. This was over 10, well, not really young, but I was 25 or 26 and I had a new partner and he lived in Portland and we were out backpacking in the middle of nowhere, hundreds of miles from any sort of hotel. And we were just, excited to be with each other. And I actually did know that this was wrong. I'm this is probably not a good thing to do, but it was beautiful, desolate wilderness. And
we romanticize the moment.
Yes, I'm trying to give my first character, main character energy in my own life. And I totally screwed up. So we had sex in this hot spring and it turned into obviously the worst yeast infection I have ever had. It was also my first and I couldn't get rid of it. I went straight to the drugstore and got a Monistat, and I'm one of those people that just happens to be allergic to it.
Yeah.
And then from there just kept looking for new and accessible remedies, which was, other things on the feminine care aisle. Of course, my doctor, my
Right.
OB-GYN, fluconazole. It turned into bacterial vaginosis. And,
Fun.
it just spiraled and spun into a world of recurrent issues.
Okay. I will admit, when I was younger, I had sex in the ocean. I had sex in the pool.
You're Brazilian. Of course you did. You're cool and you're hot.
And I know that I didn't get anything from the ocean, but I did get BV from the pool. And I'm just wondering, like, why is having sex in an open body of water? Obviously, there's a lot of chlorine in the pool and other things, other bacteria, but like, what happens?
Yeah, I mean, our vulvas and our vaginas are incredibly porous. They're made of a lot of mucous membrane, especially even our vulvas, right? The vestibule is mucous membrane.
Yeah.
And anytime we have any sort of friction or penetration, we are putting this, whatever it might be, water, it could be lube, anything really, into a part of our body that is absorbing it into our bloodstream. And we're opening ourselves up to infection. So it could be water, and it could be any other number of things that touch our vulvas or go into our vaginas. And so that's why it's bad. We have to be really careful about what we put on and in our bodies.
Yeah, I remember getting UTIs after being fingered when I was younger and being like, what's going on? And learning how, like, you actually do need to kind of, in the heat of the moment, tell them to wash their hands.
Yes, it's like the vigorous fingering of adolescence and like, ew, like dirty fingernails of like teenage-ish boys is like not chill and not good for you.
I mean, I don't think that adult men are a lot more hygienic in that sense, but
sadly, you're not wrong.
I will say I kind of miss being fingered more often.
Okay, I prefer it. I like want the like make out hotness in your face, like whoever I'm hooking up with, and then like a hand down there. And I often find I'm better at directing a hand than I am like a mouth. I like get shy, and so I'm
Really?
a big proponent of fingering. Love it.
Interesting. Yes. And just more of like that act of really like reveling in each other and dry humping and like just really enjoying the kiss.
Yeah.
I feel like the older we get and the longer we're with our partners, we tend to skip a couple of steps or just try to like rush through it, you know?
Yeah, and that's probably also a symptom of being busy. And so we do often emphasize certain aspects of sexual encounters that tend to associate with like some sort of climax. And so oral tends to be one of those things, and penetration especially. But the foreplay, which I don't really necessarily agree with that term, can be such an important part of connecting and increasing arousal and like really getting there. Like I love that. I think that's hot. Like the longer I wait for any sort of penetration or those climactic moments, the more excited I am about them.
Yeah.
And that, creates that really exciting explosive energy and maybe an orgasm if you're lucky.
Okay, I want to go back though.
Yes.
Because recently I had one of those like ultra UTIs, the ones that just don't want to leave your body.
Of course.
And I had to take a couple of different strains of antibiotics to fight it. But eventually at some point you end up getting a yeast infection, which I did. And full disclosure, I used to not believe in organic homeopathic solutions.
I get it.
So the first time that I tried Momotaro Apotheca, I was like, we'll see where this is going to go, you know?
Yeah.
And I did usually just reach out for like the big pharma monostat when I had any yeast infections. And it always burned everything. It was so uncomfortable. I feel like I was itching all night long. But it was the only solution that I thought there was. And then I remember having this yeast infection prior to this super UTI a few years ago when I did try your organic suppository, and it actually worked within a day. It was incredible, and it doesn't burn, it doesn't itch, right? You have all of the other solutions, other products that help soothe the discomfort at the same time, which I love.
Yeah.
But this time when I was taking the different antibiotics and then got the yeast infection, I think one thing people don't realize is how these infections kind of feed off of each other. Like you have one, it leads to the next, and then the solution that you'll take for that one can lead back again to the UTI.
Yeah.
And so can you explain, because I know that that was a part of your story after the sexy hot spring moment.
Yeah, totally. And no shade to people who take these very traditional modalities of care. It is what we've been taught to do and utilize to improve our vulvovaginal health or address infections. So I think it's important that people realize that these infections start from different things. So a yeast infection is fungal, bacterial vaginosis and UTIs are bacterial. And so say you start with an antibiotic for your UTI, you're not just getting rid of the bad bacteria. We know that to be true. I think most people realize antibiotics just like wipe you out. They do a great job, and Western medicine and antibiotics are incredibly important. They've saved hundreds of thousands of lives, but it's not necessarily the be-all, end-all, right? Like, so you're obliterating a microbiome that actually requires the good bacteria to keep our body's vaginal microbiomes balanced, which helps us feel comfortable. And so when you take away the good with the bad, you can't fight it, and that allows an opportunity for a fungal infection to start, which is where the yeast, the candida, overgrows because you don't have lactobacillus fighting these, candida. Because you have this stuff in your body. It's normal.
Such sexy terminology.
I know, it's so hot. You have, again, a balance that you want to keep. And so then you get into this yeast infection, and then you take an antifungal and same thing, so on and so forth. And so they don't work together, unfortunately. And for us, I was pissed. I'm like, why am I taking one that's giving me another, that's taking, giving me another and another and another, when there's actually a ton of data, and I didn't know this till years later, on ingredients and approaches that are antimicrobial. So antimicrobial refers to like an umbrella approach. You're addressing fungal and bacterial issues. And so you can kind of go at them at the same time without creating this, again, huge blanket of, it's like obliteration, essentially. You're keeping some of the good bacteria with that, right?
Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah, extremely.
Yeah.
So when you started Momotaro, I mean, before you actually began, I know that you and Taylor, your co-founder, camped out. The hot spring guy. Camped out in a library in Portland. And you guys were doing all of the research to begin to understand product development. What made you decide to go towards the organic homeopathic solutions?
It had been a year of my own frustrations. I mean, I was
a year of an itchy, burning vag.
Yeah, it was horrible. And it was affecting my and our relationship, right? Because you don't want to have sex. You're uncomfortable. I, at that time, didn't have the language or the confidence to be able to talk about these issues freely, So even though he kind of knew, he didn't really know how badly I was suffering or how uncomfortable I was. And I also was just embarrassed because we're taught from such a young age that our bodies should be these pure, beautiful, perfect things, be it the way we look, the way we smell, the way we taste, all of these things. And I just was not at that time in my life. And so as I began to try new things and go to, say, the naturopath, I was offered a lot of different types of solutions, and certain little things would begin to work. I'd be like, okay. I also DIY'd everything. Like, if you can Google it, I have done it. And again, that's a big PSA, don't do that. But I saw some promise in some of the more organic, homeopathic, and holistic solutions. And of course, I was looking into lifestyle changes as well, right? People know about the Candida cleanse, things like that. People talk a lot about the underwear you wear, the exercise you do, all of these things. And because my system was so depleted as well, other things began to trigger infections. So I was looking at every angle, and I started to put those together. And it really was the natural, mainly like berberine, which is the active in some of our ingredients, that I was seeing promise from. And then I was like, okay, well, if this botanical is doing this, why can't others? And so we just dove in, and that's where the research really started. And what can we create that's plant-based? If this one thing is doing this amazing stuff, what else is out there, and why aren't we putting them together? Yeah. And so it was a very organic, and it was truly making a wish list. And Taylor was like, you can't just invent this. And I'm like, why not?
Watch.
And granted, that's a very rudimentary way to start. And we started cooking this in our kitchens. Right. And eventually had to bring this to labs, naturopath, chemist, people that were helping us create something that was valid and safe.
Yeah.
But we just needed something that worked, especially, to help me, to help our relationship.
I have heard that it's always a gift when you don't know how much it takes for you to achieve something, because when you don't know what you don't know, you really believe that you can achieve it.
Yeah, I think that's really fair.
Yeah.
I needed, and I was kind of blinded by my own need first and foremost, which I think is a really beautiful thing as a founder, right? Like it's hard out there, right? Momotaro is almost 10 years old. And those first couple years were just discovery for me. And then what became a very direct community of individuals and I guess internet friends that were like, oh, yes, we have this problem too. And this was also, in terms of the internet, 10 years ago, a very different place. People were not talking about this. This was like pre any sort of like body positive conversation. Right. So there was a lot of virality in that because it was so fresh.
Yeah. So what did you decide as your first product?
It was the salve.
Oh,
we launched with the salve, tried and true.
We have it here today in the studio. And I'm going to share my personal experience with the salve because I actually use the tonic oil every single day. I massage it onto my vulva after a shower. And when we talk about rituals, especially erotic rituals, having one with yourself is such an important thing for you to integrate in your daily life. And what I love about the tonic oil is that it is a moment that I have. Like, how many times do you actually massage your vulva? You actually really, besides washing it, you know, daily. But this is what I love about the ritual that I have with the tonic oil. But the salve is one of those products that you can take with you anywhere. It's easy to carry and it applies to so many different solutions.
Yeah.
So
or issues.
Yeah, or issues. So for me personally, every time I feel a discomfort down there, especially if I feel like I'm getting a yeast infection or I have a UTI or BV, I'll use it to soothe it. But also if I get a like super bad sunburn or if I have a cut or an ingrown. By the way, I don't know if I actually texted you about that, but I used it on an ingrown recently and it was gone within a day.
Yeah, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antimicrobial, it's addressing the bacteria, it's addressing like this big nodule you have full of pus.
Yeah.
We really sent it with like the things we wanted to do with this product, and it's amazing because it is so versatile. And my business partner, thankfully, and his background is in microbiology, and so he really did end up having
helpful, yeah.
Yeah, he ended up having like the chemistry and biology roots to then help me like basically create this super product wish list that I wanted to have. And you're right, it does apply to so many things, but like in terms of getting started, like I was like, I can apply this and you feel it working. It's definitely a more acute product than the tonic, like you said.
Right.
Like if for me, I have a lot of issues around my cycle when my like estrogen and hormones drop, where I'm really itchy and inflamed. And this is very common. This is why people get yeast infections and BV around their cycle.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I feel it. I'm like, ooh, I'm itchy. I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
And I pop this on. It feels immediately cooling. And then like, there's like also that psychosomatic benefit where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm putting on my like overpriced cotton underwear, not overpriced. I support this cause, and like go on about my day, and it's great.
Yeah, I love it. I always tell people that it's one of the best products that you can just carry around,
and it's good for all genders.
Yes,
hemorrhoids. We had like the hemorrhoid conversation that we've started having with people because we had women, we do a lot obviously in the sexual health space, and sex workers are like, oh my God, my partner's got this like huge hemorrhoid and he's freaking out. And can I use it? And I'm like, of course you can. Inflammation, like let's go. Itchiness, it's healing. And like put it anywhere on your body. Not technically inside, but anywhere on it.
Yeah.
On your butthole.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And one of the reasons why I'm so excited for us to have this as one of the first conversations for Lesson Translation is because you always like to joke that Momotaro is not the most erotic of the companies in the space.
No.
But the truth is that if you take care of your sexual health, if you feel really good in your body, then you're open to experiencing all the rest.
Totally.
And so this is such an important, this is the foundation.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's so many like chic women in sexual health, people that own toy companies and podcasters. And I'm just like, hey, do you have a yeast infection? Like, call me. And like, that's okay. I mean, because you're right. It is the foundation. If you are not comfortable and confident in your body, you really got nothing. Like everything, and especially for so many women where sex is a trigger, this is something you can apply after, because sex became that trigger. I'm like, great, I cleared up my BV, but if my partner comes in me, like, yes, like semen is a trigger. It's a different pH than our vaginal pH.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to get BV, so I wasn't present, and I was just like, fuck, this sucks. You know, and like now I'm like, it's all good. I'm going to take my probiotic. I'm going to use the salve or shove a suppository up there if I need, like, and I am fully present. And like my sex life is better because of it. Like my life is better because of it.
Yeah, totally. So. Yesterday, after my husband and I had sex, we didn't have time to take a shower. So we went out to dinner. And right before I left, I ended up actually spraying the hydrosol. Yes. And that just helps to like keep it clean and, you know.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I didn't know how to talk about the hydrosol at first, because this is a product. I do a lot of hot yoga. I've lived in New York City for 17 years now, which is kind of crazy. And a lot of the studios don't have showers here. You don't have time. And I didn't want to like walk home in these, you know, soaking wet clothes. And your bacteria really does transfer. I'm wearing a lot of synthetic fabrics when I do yoga. And so this was really a response to that. But I didn't want people to feel like they were cleansing themselves. There's so much stigmatization around like cleansing and having a dirty vulva or a dirty vagina. But this product now, I really feel like I can talk about it and be like, look, it's just about like wiping away sweat, wiping away bacterial transfers, and like being able to go. I do it. I mean, it says face, body, and vulva. And yeah, it's great for that. And like people are on the go. I don't expect you to have sex and shower every time. People think that's so gross, but go walk your dog after if you have to. Like maybe you don't go hug your mom, but like it's okay.
I mean, granted, we didn't sweat that much, but it was just more to make sure that I have things, you know, in check.
Yes, that's okay. We can accommodate our needs and our daily schedules. If you're fitting in sex, that's way more important.
Yeah.
You know, that's not easy for everyone.
Yeah, no, it's not. Okay, I want to share some shocking stats. 1 in 4 American women don't know how to correctly identify the vagina on a diagram. And 1 in 5 women believe that they pee from the same canal as they menstruate from. I am not going to lie. I used to be part of that statistic. Until I was 30, I had never heard of the word vulva. I don't recall it being taught in my sex ed class. It certainly wasn't being used at home. Yeah. And I always called it the vagina. And I believed that it was one in the same hole where I peed and got my period from. And I remember that I used to take out my tampon every time I needed to pee on my period because I felt like it would help to clean it out.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what was your sex ed like? Did you learn this when you were younger than I was? By the way, full disclosure, I was not a sexologist at the time.
I think, but I think also, one, it's so great that you can be so vulnerable about this, because we are so often like kind of leaving ourselves in the darkness or not asking questions because we're embarrassed. But systemically, not a lot of people are getting this education. You are not the only one. The fact that you've even gotten here is really impressive. My sex education was in the 8th grade. My teacher was great. I would say her name, but she also ended up being the mother of my boyfriend I lost my virginity to in her home, you know, in my sex ed teacher's house. And it was not inclusive. That is the one thing.
Was she Gillian Anderson?
No. Oh, my God, no. But she kind of was the vibe.
Yeah.
For sure. She was so cool. I really respected what her family, like, kind of was to me, because they like were just these really amazing people. But at the end of the day, what they were teaching in school was not inclusive. It was very much about the penis. You get all of the like these are the testicles. Here is, what happens. Here's how to put on a condom, blah, blah, blah. Here's how you get pregnant.
Yeah.
But you don't get like the nitty gritty or the nuance of what it is to have a vulva, have a vagina, and like what is happening to your body, which is so important because you're going through all of these changes. And
they're a lot at that age.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know I was like stinky or why at like 13 because my hormones were changing, and I had to start wearing deodorant or whatever. And so, but that was not her fault, right? That was just a product of the system.
Yeah.
I am very lucky. My parents are pretty open, and I had older siblings and a lot of friends with older siblings. And so I feel like I learned a little bit.
Right.
But most of my education came around the time when I was having these issues as well. Really understanding the nuance and anecdotes of the changes in my body and the individual parts, the urethral opening. Why are we getting all of these UTIs? Well, our urethral canal is like this big or tube, and like men's is like this long if we're being generous, and so just all of
the
these
penis
things,
is in your life, Lindsay.
But all of these anecdotes are important because we're like, well, why are we getting these UTIs? And like, dudes aren't,
Yeah.
It's like ours is a lot shorter and here's why, and we have all of these changes, and so it has really helped, but a lot of it was self-taught. And so that's why sex education is such a huge part of Momotaro's curriculum. We spend a lot of time and a lot of money investing into philanthropic organizations that help democratize and create inclusive types of education on the internet, so you don't go and do the thing I did at first and find these like scary outlets that are making me feel terrible about myself and kind of misinforming me. So that's a big part of our mission as well. On top of just creating solutions, we're creating the education so people don't even get into the position that I was in.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have talked about extensively is these advertisements on Meta that talk about how your vulva should smell like strawberries, right? And just how predatory that is because it really does prey on our insecurities, everything that we've been taught growing up. So you were mentioning how you were experiencing these smells and you didn't know why they were happening. What should a vulva taste like? What is a regular vaginal pH? And like, just what is the range of tastes that happen depending on your pH levels?
Taste is subjective, of course, but our vaginas are acidic, right? And we share a similar pH to that of beer and tomatoes. Of course, that doesn't sound as sexy as pineapple and strawberries, but it's our reality. It's also why our underwear bleach. If you're wondering why you have white spots in your dark underwear, it's because you have an acidic vagina, and so we're bleaching them essentially.
Yeah.
But that means it's going to kind of taste bitter. It's not supposed to taste sweet. And if it does, I don't even know why or where on the pH scale that would land you, but like a lot of people want it to taste kind of fruity, which is not natural.
Right.
And so keep that in mind when you're thinking about lubes, right? Like what are you using? Is it messing up your pH? And is it going to push you into a certain area? Semen is basic as well, which is why it can cause issues. But
for those who don't know, what is basic?
On the alkaline scale. So when we talk about pH, we talk about alkalinity. And so, I just think your vagina should taste like a vagina which is acidic.
Well, I think when it smells fishy,
that's bacterial vaginosis. That's when your pH is off. So if we're trying to get towards a place of that, of course, like
something's off. Yes, but I think women often get so much in their heads about how they smell. And one advice that I always like to give is if you are worried, just take a quick bath. Like, don't overthink it. And generally speaking, your partner actually enjoys how you naturally taste.
Well, yeah. And like, I guess when we're referring to taste as it relates to smell, like if you are tasting an irony taste, like where are you in your cycle? Like you bleed through your vagina.
Yeah.
Like, is that what it's tasting like? Is it, you have to also think about what's happening with your discharge, where you are in your cycle. So there's a lot. We have a guide that is written by one of our OB-GYNs that really dives into the nuance of this.
We'll link it in the show notes.
Yes, much more scientific explanation than I can give you in this moment. But for the most part, you should taste acidic.
Yes.
And you should not taste like fruit.
I One of the questions that I got is, if you are going down on someone and they taste or smell in a way that does feel off, how can you bring it up to them? Because I know it's a really delicate moment, but it is one of those conversations because you do also want to be comfortable and you want to enjoy giving.
That's so hard and so personal. I now, because I'm in this space, feel like provided you and the person that you are hooking up with are enjoying it and there's consent, do you carry on? Sure, maybe, right? Everybody, like, maybe you guys just went on a big run and you're sweaty and that's what you're smelling and that's why it's different and that's your own prerogative. That's a whole kink,
Right.
In a perfect world, which never happens, is you are with a partner you are comfortable with and vice versa, and you have conversations and you can be like, hey, how are you feeling? Like, maybe something's off and you can bring it up. But I don't have a blanket answer for that, actually, because I do think it is incredibly nuanced and personal. But I think the most important takeaway from that is that you are comfortable enough with your partner and they are with you to have a really thoughtful conversation. And maybe you just preface this with like, hey, I don't know how to say this, and I just want you to know that I love you and I care about you and I love fucking you, but you taste different. And is that just because, like, are you on your period? And maybe you don't have to get that specific. I don't know.
But I love that. I think
But,
that's
like,
a great way to introduce the conversation.
and be thoughtful. Like, don't joke about it.
Yeah.
And like let them make fun of you for being serious and taking the time to have that conversation. But do it in a way that your partner would maybe respond to it and be thoughtful about it. We actually lately, over the last maybe year, have had an influx of male followers. And it's really awesome because they're trying to educate themselves and they're like, my partner and I are struggling and I don't know what to do and how can I help? And I'm just walking on eggshells. And of course they are.
We need more of that.
I know.
Yeah.
And like maybe part of that is just being like, hey, I'm trying to do my own research here too. And you can call that out.
Right.
Like, hey, it felt good that my partner was on this, road with me and he was trying to help. And I knew I could feel the like pain in his like kind of heart because he needed and wanted intimacy and couldn't have it. And so maybe use that as part of the inspiration for being able to have a conversation that might be hard. Be like, I want to connect with you and I want this to be good and I want to make sure you're enjoying it and feeling comfortable and confident.
Yeah.
And like maybe that's a little word salady, but like practice it, write it out, be thoughtful about it. A little extra goes a really long way.
Yeah, totally. Vulnerability always helps to open someone up.
Yeah, it really has. I was embarrassed about having this company, and so much has changed in my own vulnerability and being able to tell people like, hey, I had a yeast infection for a year. That was horrible. But, so many people are like, oh my gosh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shouldn't be embarrassing.
I feel the same with my own sexual wellness brand and launching and feeling very worried about what people's perceptions of me would be. Obviously, that's changed in the last 3 years, but it's been a journey.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it's also ever changing, right? Like our sexuality and ability to communicate about it or feel confident about it is always changing as we age too.
Yeah.
As we get older and we want to have more sex or different sex or less sex.
Yeah. So today, when you think about Gen Z and their approach to sex and sexuality and sexual health, what excites you the most and what worries you the most?
I'll start with worry. I do think like we're probably the last generation who didn't grow up entirely on phones, you know? I worry about the lack of connectivity, like the human aspect of it, the person to person, where you're like able to have these really vulnerable conversations that are like, hey, I'm feeling a certain way. We're doing everything through our phones now. Yeah. And I think that that's worrisome. We're obviously also seeing a decline in young people having sex. And I think that's because they are losing confidence or have not yet gained it and are doing so at a slower pace.
Yes. I will say the positive side to that is that I think people are having less non-consensual or alcohol-related sex.
Yes.
Because, I mean, in our time, when you're a teenager or in college, like,
God.
I mean, I can't even begin to say how often I had sloppy sex because of a night out.
Or things I didn't want to do.
Exactly.
You know, like, absolutely. And I think
that's a silver lining
what
there.
a beautiful anecdote to take from that.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible and so, so important.
But I agree with you that the technology has left people extremely strained in how they connect with others.
Yeah.
Not being able to receive rejection, because there is very much of that act that we learned of like going up to someone at a bar or in school or picking up the phone and speaking to their parents.
Landline.
A landline.
Iconic.
And they don't have that. And I know that that is something that they struggle with a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that human connection is crucial. And, you know, maybe the excitement about it is that, like you said, there is less non-consensual interactions, you know, so people are more autonomous. You know, globalization and the fact that everything is at our fingertips allows us to better understand our own bodily autonomy. I mean, there are so many women out there speaking their truths and talking about their stories, and hopefully the next generation of women and men as well will be less traumatized.
Yeah.
I hope. I know that's saying a lot with the current administration and just a lot of the stories that are in the media right now, but from a person-to-person local level, hopefully there's some ability there to just stay connected and honest. And
I agree.
That could be the exciting part of Gen Z's ability to take what we didn't have and run with it and make really, really systemic change.
Yeah. And I love how much more open-minded they are too about sexuality and fluidity and exploration.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I have many nieces and nephews and no children of my own, and their questions are fun and interesting and thoughtful and silly. And I wasn't asking my aunts and uncles that. Like, no way. You know?
Can you share any of the recent questions that you might remember?
You know, I think a lot of it is really sex specific.
Yeah.
Like stuff specific. Like, what is a 69? Like, I Googled it, but I don't understand the interworkings. And this goes back to the internet.
It's a controversial position.
It is, but they're like, the butthole, is it where? And I don't get it. And like, you know, and I have nieces and nephews of all sexualities. And so it's really interesting from my bi or gay or straight nieces and nephews, how they're coming in. But the internet isn't doing a good job. So they're like a little bit more connected to the nuance. They're like asking with like, okay, well, where does this go? Where I'm like, when I learned what a 69 was like, I was like, okay, got it. We're going upside down and this is what's happening. Whereas now they're like really more like, but tell me more, which is cool.
Curious.
So
Yeah.
curious. Or like, they're not willing to accept the blanket internet answer or the thing they saw on like whatever porn channel. They're like, in real life trying to like think of the mechanics because they didn't understand it and they want to know more, and they're able to now, like they have access to those tools, which we did not, you know.
Absolutely. I will say it took many years for me to learn how to enjoy 69.
It comes and goes for me. I still there's times that I'm like, this is great, but I'm like, am I on my side? You know, it's just
it's an art for you to learn how to focus on yourself and on the other person at the same time.
I know.
But when you master that, it's heavenly.
I'm really a like upside down on the bed person. I currently have a male partner that has penis, and so, you know, I had to get.
I feel like that's kind of aggressive. You're the one that's lying down.
The anatomy of it. We don't need to get into that, but yeah, I mean, my last long-term partner was a woman, and so I had to like relearn the inner workings of having a 69 with a male partner.
What was the most surprising thing about having a female partner and having sex with a vulva?
God, I could go on for days. It's great. Not to not to go there, but how much you both come. The orgasm gap is real, and I'm sorry, I love my partner. He is the fucking best, but the orgasm gap is real.
Are the orgasms different?
No. I'm not like a toy bisexual girl, so I'm not like using a lot of like dildos and stuff like that. So I guess, and I can have a blended orgasm.
Yeah.
So I guess from a blended orgasm perspective, but I feel like because I'm coming less, maybe my orgasms are maybe like a little bit more powerful. I'm big on connection. Like I've never been like a one night stand person. Like I really am having pretty like intimate, even if it is like rough or depending on like the theme of the sex, like at any given time, I'm still very connected. So I don't think they're very different unless I really like break it into like a blended orgasm with penetration perspective to like primarily clitoral.
What about scissoring?
Controversial.
Let's get into it.
I love it. It's the best. Oh my gosh. Okay. I can only describe it to people who have not done it. And I know anatomically it is not for everyone. I happen to be hypermobile. Like I can do the splits, so like I can scissor. Not everybody can. I try to describe it to people as similar to oral sex. It's like hot and warm and there's good pressure. And so it's amazing.
Yeah.
I know scissoring is so taboo, but if you can do it.
Is it really?
And it's fun. Yeah, I feel like even in the like lesbian world, it can be really taboo. People like, and I think maybe because scissoring porn is like violent and like some of it can be really kind of scary and like not accurate.
Interesting.
Sorry, like scary and not accurate.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like two girls having these like weird wrestling matches. Like don't Google scissoring porn on Pornhub. Like not accurate, or I would say a large body of that work is maybe not accurate to those bodies.
But what's interesting is that a lot of straight women consume lesbian porn because it centers on female pleasure, despite lesbians themselves saying it is not representative of what we actually do in bed.
Yeah.
But I will say that when I do consume porn, it generally tends to be more lesbian focused because of the eye that it has for female pleasure, the softness that comes with it,
Does that not make you want to have sex with women?
I've had sex with women.
Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have had sex with women. I had a good experience, but super newbie. And it was a threesome with my ex. And it was an interesting time.
Cool.
But it's not something that I continuously seek.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching lesbian porn and I was like, I am a lesbian. Like this was before I had like made out with friends in high school and like done kind of the performative girl on girl thing, I think, before. But then I was like, okay, I have to do this. Like this is really important. And I also am just one of those people that's like kind of attracted to everybody.
Right.
Always have been. So, I think if it's an inspiration
what a
for some,
turned-on person
great.
you are.
Sometimes, but also sometimes very sterile workaholic.
Oh my
girl.
gosh, yes, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, you started with a salve, and then what was your next product after that? Like, how did you build out your entire collection?
Yeah, the like quick of it is actually the three you have here were our first products. So we actually kind of launched these all together. We did a ton of. Like, this was kind of like my baby. This is what I was working on for years because it was a very hard product to make in and of itself. I'm
going to open it up so that people can see the salve. It's very much like a butter.
Yeah.
And it just very quickly like dissolves on your skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the way we put in
and it
some
smells
of these,
really good too.
Yeah, it does.
I love it.
The active ingredients, we needed to encapsulate them in a lipid so that the volatility of the active wasn't going to burn any skin. People can be very curious about like the volatility of a natural and herbal product, and we're very, very careful about that. And if anybody has questions, we will always answer them. But so from there, it was all about lifestyle stuff. So I couldn't use soaps, and I was like trying to figure out how to wash my vulva or keep my body clean, and I was taking a lot of baths. And so soaps and fragrance products were really irritating me.
Right.
So the tonic became a product that we made to go in the bath in place of bubble bath, something that was, again, antimicrobial and soothing when you had that inflammation and itching. And so this started as a bath product. honestly. And then eventually we started using as more of a like a daily ritual massage into the body as well.
Right.
And then as I mentioned, I do a lot of yoga. And so the hydrosol yoga was a major trigger. It came with me for that. I was, you know, really like, okay, I'm leaving yoga and I know these like hot, sweaty workout pants are like, you know, keeping that damp moisture, bacterial moisture close to your vulva.
It's really uncomfortable.
Really uncomfortable. And so I started using that. And so it really was about a topical, like very much the quality of life issues surrounding my vulva, which sounds like a really big, annoying thing. Like, but at the time it felt like that. I'm like, everything surrounds my vulva issues. It's so annoying. And
well, you like to say that the best way for you to feel your vulva is to not feel it at all.
Yeah, I don't want to be thinking about it in my pants unless it's like in a nice way. But it was, I mean, it was such a source of discomfort. Like whether it was like my underwear was like bothering it, or like I was walking home and I was just stressed about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to get BV from walking home from yoga. You know, it was all of the things like centered this. So that was really the first suite. And then from there, we expanded into supplements. A probiotic is so important. I have taken everyone on the market. And like, you need some support. We're doing all these things all the time, whether it's to our gut microbiome, our vaginal microbiome, or to our immune health that affect our ability to fight vulvovaginal infections.
Okay, this is great that you bring it up, because one of the questions that I got for today is, do supplements actually work, or is it just expensive pee?
Such a good question. And I actually kind of hate supplementation. Like, I really think it is expensive pee.
Right.
Like, I've gone through taking a ton to taking none, and now I am very minimal on my supplementation. A probiotic, you take one a day. You can't maximize it, right? Like, you have, like, I don't know if anybody has heard the term like bioavailability. You only have
I've never heard it.
So like so much of an ability to absorb the vitamins, minerals, nutrients, etc. that you take every day. That's why when you eat your vitamins, minerals, it's more important, because it's like a slow release. The fiber is helping it break down over time. And so your body is absorbing it better. And so, yeah, like be very careful. And when you do buy supplements, ask them. Like, granted, we're very accessible. We are answering all of our like QA chatbot stuff ourselves. We do not outsource it, because this kind of stuff matters to us. Ask your supplement companies, like, what is the bioavailability? Why do you have so many more CFUs than these people? Like, and what's in them. So be careful with that. A probiotic, one, it's an active product. Like ours does not have to be refrigerated because they're freeze dried. So actually when you take ours, it activates with your gut microbiome when it's all warm and juicy, and the like good bacteria is like, hey, we're here. Let's do a job, which is awesome. And then so our other one is a urinary tract and bladder support supplement. And for us, this is all about like microbial dosage, right? Like we wanted to add something that is supplementing your body and not just like blasting it.
Yeah.
And again, our products are fighting something. Like they're not just like adding to what you've already kind of got, right? Like the demonose, the Oregon grape, the bearberry, these are fighting the bad microbes that we're getting from these like third-party factors. So friction from sex, bacteria entering the micro tears, or you know, flavored lube going into your body and like causing an infection. So we're trying to fight stuff with our supplementation.
Awesome.
We're not just trying to like make you more beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't really know anything about that industry. I'm like putting stuff that's fighting the bad stuff in mind. That's my like simple way to describe it.
Okay, perfect.
You know?
And the suppository, which is really what made me become gung-ho about Momotaro. I mean, I was already gung-ho about you. You just got it restocked.
Yes.
It was sold out for some time.
Yes.
I'm glad that I had extra at home, because I recently took it for my crazy UTI.
Cool.
Can you share a little bit more about the suppository?
So I wanted to make a suppository when we started. That was the goal, but there is a ton of red tape on putting something up inside your vagina, as there should be, right? If you're building a product, you need to do it right. And so we couldn't just make this and like be like, yeah, but I'd be fine. It's a medicine, you know? It's going inside of your body. And so we wanted to create something. All of our products are certified organic. That's important. Like, we care very much about the supply chain and where our plants come from. And they're also homeopathic drugs. So this, I don't have the box with me, but it has a drug facts panel on it, which is really exciting. Like, we can make claims against this product. And so for these, and this is kind of nerdy and goes into like the bureaucracy of making products. These soothe symptoms. We don't make claims around this. This product is in place of your monostat. It is in place of your fluconazole, right? But it is the herbal remedy. So if you're somebody who has had a hard time with those like RX options, this is a great alternative. And it doesn't obviously have the hardcore antifungals in it that are kind of blasting your system and making you susceptible to those other infections. So similar ingredient deck, really beautiful. It's addressing, you know, skin tissue, moisture. It's addressing microbial things. Like, it's great. It's an all around. This was kind of my big white buffalo product when I first started this. And it took us about 8 years to make.
Amazing. 8 years.
Yeah.
What a feat.
Yeah. But I love it. I'm
very thankful that it's in the world.
I didn't mean to be the like yeast infection girl, but like someone had to be, and I guess it's me.
Someone had to be.
Yeah. And it's just exciting. Like, another really important part of what we do is creating a like holistic approach. Vulvovaginal health is not one size fits all. What might work for one person may not work for another. And so we've created, I feel like, a diverse but not superfluous like collection of products that will help any type of person address their issues in a organic and antimicrobial way.
Well, I'm very thankful that Momotaro is in the world.
Thanks. Gosh, me too. I love Momotaro. I love the community.
I love the name.
Thanks. Yeah.
How did it come about?
It's a little bit of wordplay. I also have a long lineage of mixed family members from Asia and a lot of nicknames floating around. So Taylor and myself kind of just played on our own nicknames and some anecdotes from our family and mixed some things together and made it an apotheca. And here we are at Momotaro Apotheca.
I love it. I wanted to end with good practices to maintain your vaginal health. So you mentioned the type of underwear that you use, exercises, cleansing options. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I think a good place to start for everybody, if you are either wanting to be proactive about your vulva and vaginal health, like not get into a place of infection, because like the other kind of scary statistic is that once you get an infection, you are more likely to. And that coincides with the fact that most people take RX options. And now we know these, you know, really intense antifungals and antibacterials or antibiotics are increasing our recurrence rates. So try not to get them. So if you're trying to not get them, or if you're dealing with them recurrently right now, of course, I'm going to suggest my products. Always have a probiotic on you, if it's ours or another one, but have it be a like full encompassing, addressing gut microbiome, vaginal microbiome, as well as your immune health. Your immune health is really important to fighting, you know, vaginal infections.
Yeah.
If you are doing a trigger, and again, I'll start with my products, like use the salve. Like, apply it. If you're like, oh, I did a thing and it was like bad. I used cupcake lube and never do this, but like wrong order of operations people ask us about all the time. Like, it went in the butt and then it went in the vagina. That's a big no-no.
Yes.
Don't do that. But like, use the salve if you did the thing that was bad.
I've suffered from that.
Yes. Okay. So like, don't do that. Or hormonal changes, dryness, anytime you have friction, if you've been in a swimsuit all day, use the salve. And then lifestyle changes. We love a fiber, high, colorful diet. Your food does affect your vaginal health. So low sugar, low alcohol, if you can. When you're suffering, like I drink, you know, periodically, but I eat a pretty healthy diet. Lots of fiber, very mixed. That's always good. Sleep naked is another favorite of mine. Like, let your vulva breathe. If you are in tight jeans and synthetic underwear, like I do my best to wear organic cotton panties, but I don't always do that. Yeah. I have some like skanky Fenty bodysuits that I like, and don't let this like change your whole life. Like, do the thing you love and then just like prepare to deal with it in a way that's going to help heal it after or during. So that's one. Sleeping naked, cotton underwear, balanced diet, lots of fiber, soaps.
Yeah.
Cut out any like super fragrant soaps. Like
I didn't know that
yeah.
until recently. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the like femme care aisle is full of like stuff that's like, make your vulva smell like a summer breeze. Don't do that.
breeze.
Don't do that. No, you want your vulva to smell like a vulva, acidic, delicious little beer treat. And what are other good ones? Yeah, take off wet clothes when you can. So summertime, I swim a lot. I try to like switch out of my swimsuit as quickly as I can. Bring another swimsuit if you need. If you're like going to be on the boardwalk or somewhere like where you're in a swimsuit all day, I like that like lifestyle. Or put on a sarong or a pair of shorts or something like that. If you're obviously not trying to get pregnant, I make sure any like semen or fluid comes out of my body after sex.
Oh my gosh. One thing that you shared was that kink that people have where you'll have your partner like come in your panties before you go to work and spend the whole day with the cum in the panties.
Oh my God.
What is that about?
I'm not yucking anyone's yum, but that's gooey and that's a lot of wetness and that's a lot of cum sticking around your vulva and into your vagina. I mean,
I'm not yucking anyone's yum
No,
either,
of
but
course.
it is intense when you think about the impact that it can have on your vulvovaginal flora.
Yes, as people with sensitive systems, that can feel maybe a little bit like alarming. So
Yeah.
that's where maybe that reaction comes to. Not ideal if you're somebody who fights these issues, right?
Yeah.
Like gooey wetness close high up to your vulva is not a good thing, right? Just in general. So those are kind of my big easy ones. But it really is just like, it's kind of like about a mindset shift and having tools that help daily and proactively, as well as like not putting yourself in a position where you're going to get an infection, where you're saying yes to something that you maybe shouldn't, like having sex in a hot spring. Like just know your limits.
Yeah.
And like get up and do it on a towel or like lean over the log or something. I don't know. There are so many other options besides knowingly putting bacteria into your body that shouldn't be there, you know, and we don't always have that choice, right? Like, or we don't want to make that choice. Sex, exercise, things like that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. I think this was an incredible conversation, very enlightening.
I appreciate you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to Lesson Translation. If you enjoyed this, please hit follow wherever you listen and leave a review. It helps more people find us, and it means everything. See you next week.